Revelation 1738. From the 14th of December 1940. Lot of apostate souls in the hereafter. Temptation. The power of evil is immense, and yet it cannot achieve anything with a person who consciously strives towards God, for through his will turned towards God he opposes this evil power, which makes the adversary feel powerless, since his power breaks down in the face of such a will. He will certainly always be exposed to hostility from that side, for the adversary hopes for a weak moment in which he will gain the upper hand again. But good beings are equally prepared to protect and strengthen the human being if he is in danger of becoming weak. And thus the struggle for the souls is constant, and therefore earthly life is also a constant battle, for the human being senses this spiritual struggle for his soul and is drawn into it and can bring the battle to a decision through his will. Yet anyone who surrenders to the evil forces without a fight will have wasted his life. For the adversary mercilessly makes him his servant, seemingly granting him an earthly advantage, but only in order to gain control over him. The fate of an apostate soul in the hereafter is indescribable. Such a being unites all bad instincts within itself. It seeks to inflict harm wherever it can. It is without love and only concerned with itself. It wants to rule and resorts to the cruelest means in order to gain control over other souls. It is in darkest surroundings and yet knows that its state is not enviable, and this makes the soul even more bitter and intensifies its rejection of God, whose power it certainly senses but whom it does not want to acknowledge. For the soul still has the same attitude towards God in the beyond as on earth. It does not want to humbly bow down but to be right in all things. It wants to count for something and suppress everything that comes close to it. And such desire can never lead to salvation. But it is also understandable that such souls strongly harass people who have higher goals, that they spare no means to distract them from spiritual striving, and that they therefore always and constantly harass the human being, that they put obstacles in his path in order to make him waver in his faith and in his firm trust in God's help. People are exposed to severe trials by which they are to testify to their will that they nevertheless turn to God and long for Him. And it is precisely an earthly child striving upwards that these evil powers are so hostile towards, for they recognize in him an adversary who wants to turn many souls away from him. They tried to dissuade him from his striving. They want to make him unenthusiastic and offer him earthly pleasures over which he should forget his actual task, his spiritual striving. And time and again the human being has to struggle and submit his will to God. He always has to appeal to God for strength and grace. He has to call upon Jesus Christ for protection against all evil and abandon himself to all good spiritual forces. Then the struggle of the evil power will be unsuccessful and the temptations will become increasingly weaker the more intimately the human being turns to God. For God will then send him strength in abundance so that he will steadfastly resist all temptations. Amen.